Sly.
This is JJ and Alex.
I made a name for myself. I told you I won't be denied.
As you wrap up your day, it's time to get your fix of the teams you live for and the sports you love. This is JJ and Alex, presented by G2G Bars on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Welcome into JJ and Alex here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. I am Jake Hatch, filling in for another day here on JJ and Alex alongside the man, the myth, the legend, Stevenson Sylvester. It's like you got the shades on today. Look at this. You know you're on camera today. You brought the shades.
I finally got the news. I got the memo that we're doing that now.
Well,
so
okay.
I gotta be ready to go.
Okay. We got to dig a nudge momentarily. I want to remind you guys that JJ and Alex is brought to you by G2G Bars with all natural ingredients, no preservatives, and plenty of protein. G2G Bars are perfect for anyone who needs a tasty and nutritious boost. All right, Sly. So, our illustrious leader here at KSL Sports, Nate Dowdle, put out an incredible email yesterday. And it sounds completely legit because if you want to watch us, you can watch us. We're on YouTube. Like, we're streaming on YouTube, the KSL Plus app, the KSL apps, wherever you get them. You can watch us live, do these shows. It's part of the thing now. And Nate put out an email yesterday that essentially said, well, now that we're on TV, for lack of a better term, we're going to have the hosts go through a tutorial of how to apply makeup. Like, because a lot of TV anchors, and you've done a bunch of TV, Sly, you know all about this. You have to wear some makeup. Like
I do. I was privy to it when I started doing Sports Night Live on Sundays.
Yes.
And Sam and all of them, I'm like, what is this doing in our like dressing room? And they started breaking down. I'm like, oh,
yeah,
all right.
So yeah, you're familiar with it. So my guys, DJ and PK, who I produce their show every morning, did not read the complete email because as you read it, it says, hey, we're going to have you meet with a consultant to walk you through the steps on this, best practice, all the type of stuff.
Right.
It looks completely legit. And I got for about 20 seconds because at the bottom of the email, it signed Nate Dowdle and it says, Happy April 1st, right next to it in really small fine print. But if you read the entire email, you would know, hey, what day is it? It's April Fool's Day. It's a joke here.
Yeah.
Well, this morning, April 2nd, at the end of DJ and PK, so a full 4-hour show, we're through the entire show, Sly, and they sign off, we hit the break, Jake and Ben are getting ready to take over, and they're like, oh yeah, hey, we're going to go downstairs, we got to go meet with this consultant about our makeup thing, and I legitimately about burst out laughing, because I was like, they can't be serious. They're dead serious. They got so hard on this.
Here's the thing. Nate's got to be happy that they read the emails.
Sure, but
read the headlines. At least
the entire email.
I know. But what's great is he didn't say April Fool's. He said Happy April 1st.
Yeah.
Right? So you still wouldn't get it. Like, I'm a skimmer. Yeah. And so, like, I probably wouldn't even got that at the bottom either. But but Nate knows better. Don't include me on those emails.
Nate absolutely got them. And, yeah, so they spent 20-ish minutes walking around this building looking for this consultant they were, quote-unquote, supposed to meet with about this makeup tutorial.
And they were pissed.
And, yeah, they're probably not very happy, and it could be an incredible show tomorrow. So tune in from 6 to 10 a.m. here on the KSL Sports Zone. I can't promise what might happen, but something, I'm sure, will come out of this that'll be both hilarious and wild all at the same time. So, memo to self.
Watch out for Nate's emails. And also David and Patrick, the DJ and PK, are more gullible than I ever believed them to be. That's good information for you.
I know. I was dying. Anyways, so that's where we're starting today's show. So it made my day. It was absolutely hilarious. But Sly, how about we actually get to the nuts and bolts and talk some actual sports? How about that?
Love it.
Let's get to the cut.
It's time for the biggest story of the day. This is what made the cut with JJ and Alex on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
The cut is brought to you by our friends at Trajan Wealth, your local financial fiduciary. 801-899-7600 is their phone number, or visit them on their website at trajanwealth.com. All right, Sly, some big news in the transfer portal, and obviously this time of year when it comes to college basketball. That's kind of all the big story outside of the Final Four is all the player movement. There are reports out there I've seen as high as 3,000 college basketball players have entered the transfer portal, speaking on the men's side of things. There's more than 1,000 women's players who entered the transfer portal. And a big one here locally hit earlier this afternoon as Dallin Hall, BYU guard, has announced he's entering the transfer portal. And the way it reads, Sly, it sure looks like he is leaving Provo and he is not going to be returning to BYU.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard, but, on this day and age, everybody's got to look out for themselves. And,
Sure.
And it's whatever they believe is the best is the hard part, right? It's like, do you think that's good? Like, full scope, being young and having the opportunities. As you said, he was in the portal last year, but came back. So it's tricky. And, especially as a competitor, you want to be on the court. And he had a little injury heading into the season, and so the season didn't go as planned. And so young guys, when that happens, he's all right, let me shop around.
Sure.
And
yeah.
so, as always, it always can be withdrawn and all this other stuff like that. But, it's the day and age where you're not going to get the same team every year. When talking to coaches, football, basketball, whichever, it's the biggest statement that I take from everything is how much they have to work at keeping the guys on the roster.
Well, that's what coaches will tell you. The first job they have once a season ends is recruiting your own guys inside the locker room.
That's insane.
And it is insane, but you mentioned it's a business now.
Yeah.
Anybody who believes that college sports is not professional, it's still amateur athletics, you got your head buried in the sand very, very deep.
I'm getting paid good for amateur.
And they're getting paid. They're getting paid well. Here's the thing. I'm going to read part of the statement he put out on social media. He said this, after much thought and prayer, I have decided to enter the transfer portal to pursue new opportunities in the final season of my college basketball career. While this decision has been very difficult, I know my time at BYU has prepared me well for the next chapter of my basketball journey. BYU will always be a very special place to me, and I wish nothing but continued success for the program moving forward. Now, the reason why I believe that there is essentially no chance of him coming back, Sly, is the way that reads, and also the fact this is the second straight year he's entered the portal.
Which means he had those feelings last year as well, and this was just a season that kind of solidified that, right? Yeah. And you know what? I like that. I've been raving about the offseason in football and how people present themselves as far as leaving. This is perfect, right? I've made a decision. This is what I want to do. I am grateful for what the program has done and the people. It's great. I'm just looking for what to do in my senior year. That's great. And so, hey, this is what I tell people all the time. I was like, you really only need 1 year. I know so many guys that only had one good year and end up becoming amazing professionals.
Well, and it's about an opportunity to prove yourself. Here's the thing. Dallin's had really high
opportunity
moments.
is the key word.
Yeah, he's had – remember, I will forever remember that shot. Hunter Dickinson, obviously the big man from Kansas. BYU went to Allen Fieldhouse last year and won that game. And the shot that won it is Dallin Hall on a step-back three over 7'2" Hunter Dickinson. And that will forever be ingrained in BYU basketball lore because of that shot and what it meant for a historic win over the Kansas Jayhawks. They don't lose in Allen Fieldhouse.
Well, you don't go into Lawrence and do that, right?
So, it's an iconic moment. He's had multiple of those. So he will be forever thought of as a very well-liked and appreciated.
Especially first year in the Big 12,
that's BYU guy. Yeah. But here's the thing. He watched Jaeger Demon take his starting job away from him. He is looking probably at the tea leaves, looking at this saying, okay, A.J. DeBonsa is coming in here, and he will be the guy at BYU. Right. You don't bring in a prospect of his caliber.
You saw him last night in the high school game.
And he was
he's a dude for sure.
And he's playing against the best guys his age.
Right.
And he was shining amongst all those guys. But yeah, he also looks at it, okay, Richie Saunders comes back. He's the Big 12 first-team all-conference honoree. He's the most improved player in the conference. Right. He's going to take a lot of reps away. He's one of the star players. And if Jaeger Demon decides to come back, well, that starting job is Jaeger Demon's until told otherwise. Right. So at best, are you looking at him playing fourth fiddle at that point?
Right.
And he's going into his senior year, Sly. He wants to find a chance to be a starting basketball player, show what he's capable of as a premier player to enhance his professional prospects down the line.
Well, everybody knows, too, especially when you get to the nuts and bolts of a season where it's getting tight. You're only on a 6 or 7 man rotation.
Well, and BYU played a 11-man rotation.
Right, which is different.
Which is really rare,
as they're progressing forward, Kevin Young's first year, all of this other stuff, you're hearing what's going on.
Correct.
Make the best decision for yourself. And then what's great about college basketball is you don't have to go to Kansas. You don't have to go to UCLA, USC to be a standout guy. Like Steph Curry went to Davidson.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
There's plenty of stories of guys making their names for themselves. Kawhi Leonard, San Diego State.
Mm-hmm.
You can go to a lot of different places and make a name for yourself. But again, the key word, opportunity. So again, as I said, I loved his message of saying goodbye. He's got great experience over the last 3-4 years with Pope and first year with Kevin Young, and hopefully he could take that to a program where he could be a star.
Well, and so the name that immediately popped in my mind about the situation, Sly, was Stephen Ashworth. I remember Stephen Ashworth at Utah State, very, very good basketball player. Then he decides, you know what? I need to go out and I'm going to cash in on NIL, but I'm also looking, as you mentioned, for an opportunity. He goes to the Creighton Blue Jays. And the past 2 years for him, speaking of Stephen Ashworth, have been awesome. Quite frankly, he's gone to the NCAA tournament with the Creighton Blue Jays. He's been a premier player. I know that Ryan Kalkbrenner and some of these other players on Creighton's roster are probably better professional prospects because Ashworth's listed at 6 foot, so that's just tough to overcome the fact that you're a 6 foot point guard. But he has been a very good player, and he found the right spot for him. He cashed in on NIL. That's a big factor in all this, Sly, is making money along with being able to play, but finding a spot where you can shine. And I think a guy like a Dallin Hall, who's a legit 6'4", has had some really, really star-type moments at BYU. He should cash in and find himself, I think, a very, very good opportunity to be a starting point guard and a premier player somewhere in college basketball.
Yeah, I mean, I love local kids staying local, right?
Well,
and he's Fremont up north, and
Plain City, Utah zone.
Hey, I'm just like, Utah State has an amazing program.
Yeah,
and Sam Merrill was another guy who's come from one of these smaller programs, but Utah State has a lot of things going for them, and he could only enhance a program like that. And so there's an opportunity.
Come on,
Utah's
Sly.
revamping.
Come on, Sly. We got to talk about the big elephant in the room.
We talked before the show started of my disdain for blue. But
does he want to trade blue for red though?
Right,
and potentially,
right. I don't know.
Help get Utah off the ground. You're under Alex Jensen.
At the end of the day, all I want to do is win. And so
Dallin
if he
Hall
can help
them do that.
If he can help Utah get back to the promised land, I'm all for it.
He may have thousands of BYU fans who will call him Benedict Arnold and other
who cares?
mean things.
Just throw a Kruger tail at him with tater tots in it if you want. Like
that was a fun April Fool's Day joke yesterday as well. No, but here's the thing. He will find a spot for himself.
Yes.
And it could be as close as going 40 miles up the road here to Utah.
Yes.
And I know that will grind BYU fans gears, to think about.
They got NJ DeBonsa to worry about. I don't know why they would. Well, of course, the message boards are the message boards.
Correct. Yes.
But you guys got so much going for you.
Yeah.
Don't even worry about where he goes.
And here's the thing: I will never fault a player for
looking out for himself.
Correct. Yes.
Especially in a business. This is a business now, as you said. Yes.
Okay. Here's the thing: the immortal Jay-Z. I'm a business man.
I use that in my business too. I love it. Go ahead, preach it.
No, but it's the thing. These kids, they are their own business. They can collect hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars as a college player. Some of them will never make that money at the professional level. So make as much money while you can right now. Cash in on your name, image, and likeness, and play the game you love alongside it.
Yeah, I mean, that's as you said, you pointed that out, man. If you can get the bag and play, which a lot of guys don't, because a lot of guys let me just go to SC or Texas A&M to get that oil money and I'll sit on the bench and make 7 figures, whatever. But if you can do both, more power to you.
It's the dream. That's what all these guys are looking for. And not to also ignore the fact that Utah got some good news already in the portal now, because the Dallin Hall thing, we're speculating that Utah could be in the mix for him. I would be very surprised if Utah does not kick the tires on Dallin Hall, to be very clear. But the Utes did get some good news today. Keanu Dawes, who I believe was one of the 2 guys, if I was prioritizing guys that Utah needed to retain out of the transfer portal, Keanu Dawes has withdrawn his name from the NCAA transfer portal and will be a Ute next year. I think that's a really, really nice recruiting win for Alex Jensen.
Well, Jensen's already spinning the wheels, right? He understands the roster. I was hoping
Coach Chilius is doing a good job, by the way.
I was hoping that he would make an entrance like Dion. Hey, I'm carrying Louis. Carrying Louis coming in here. We coming. Yeah. So, but honestly, as far as a business goes, no hard feelings anywhere. You want to leave, make it happen. You want to stay, make it happen. Yeah. Right. A business is a business. You're looking out for yourself. We got to look out for ourselves too. And I think that's That's my bugaboo with NIL is that you get these young guys who are coming out of high school. A lot of guys who didn't have privy to great situations growing up, right, are not being able to be mentored, at this level. Right, from 17 to 21, that's huge maturation. That's huge mentorship. It's not that anymore. Now you're getting, and this is what I said when this all was going on, is that the business will take over, and a lot of people will get screwed with it, or it won't go in people's favor.
Sure, and that's the other side of this is that these young men, they're making decisions that are in their best interest,
Correct.
and I will never fault them for doing that because, as you mentioned already, Sly. There's an opportunity to play the game that you love. In your case, it was football. Did you play basketball growing up? I assume at some level.
Yeah, I was a basketball player. And people did, when I got a football scholarship, like, what the heck?
Okay, so so there you go. But here's the thing: you have a chance to play the game you love, and in this era, you have a chance to cash in on a bunch of money that didn't even exist in your era. And I know that for you, it's got to burn a little bit, but
well, I mean, you're an old guy, and I'm an old guy. Is what I'm referencing, and this shoulda, coulda, woulda, right? Like, if I did this, what track could I had? But again, like 17-year-old Sly, who knows what was going to happen? So, but life is life.
They're going to go out and. Keanu Dawes, I think he's going to have a prominent role with this Utah basketball team.
Right.
He showed some really, really nice flashes this past year. And a guy like Alex Jensen, if he didn't want him on the roster, he would have said, hey, you're going in that portal and you ain't coming back out.
I'm telling you, these coaches that come in, they let the guys know that they want to keep and want to stay. And Alex Jensen, he's got the word that he was going to be coach early enough to, let me scout these guys.
Sure.
When the season isn't going great, how do I see their character and all this? And so he saw something in Keanu Dawes where they had to pitch him come back. As we said, you got to recruit your own guys. And so it starts first with Utah guys for Alex Jensen.
Yeah, so I think Keanu Dawes is making a smart decision because he should have a prominent role on that squad.
Huge retainment.
Yeah, it's a big pickup. And Dallin Hall, he's looking out for number one, and he wants to find an opportunity for himself, and that could be at a program like Utah. But here's the deal. Dallin Hall's track record, he will have no shortage of suitors out there. I mentioned Stephen Ashworth. Stephen Ashworth, it wasn't that Creighton was the only program out there. It just so happened that Creighton had a need for a point guard, could pay him a bunch of NIL, and he had a prominent role on a really, really good basketball team. I think Dallin Hall is following the Stephen Ashworth playbook here, and I think it's going to work out very well in his favor in the end.
Just do it. Look out for yourself, man. Make it happen. And as you said, the playing time and opportunity is, I think, paramount over the money. But if you can get both there, just make it happen.
Yeah, no doubt about that. All right. So, transfer portal, it rolls on, and it will not be slowing down anytime soon. Let's be
3,000 basketball kids
already, and that's they're more.
That's crazy. I never would have thought, because I think about it all the time. Like, I was just at the post office before coming in, and I seen this lady come in with a Harvard Law sweater, and I was like, man, I feel like I've seen that sweater before. But it took me back to, it's just like, are these kids going to be like, the moms that have kids on both teams and have split sweaters, split jerseys? Are these kids going to have 4 different schools as far as like a sweater that they can represent? Like, I feel proud that I can wear Utah stuff everywhere. That's my one school.
Yeah.
But like,
okay, you want an example of that as fresh as today's headlines?
Yeah.
Drew Pine played quarterback at Notre Dame,
yes.
Arizona State, also at Missouri. Announced he's going in the portal for a 4th program potentially here, Sly. So he could have like a quarter, one part Notre Dame, one part ASU, one part
as a
Missouri.
player, where would you attach yourself most? Because you could see failure at every single step, but like
I don't know who he latches himself onto.
That's gonna be crazy.
So you're not wrong. It's a very different era. There's zero doubt about that.
I think alumni needs to have a requirement like you got to be in this program for at least 18 months.
I can see that happening.
Yeah,
because it's a hired mercenary deal anymore, and you want guys who are program guys. You mentioned you spent all your time at Utah. You talk about having guys who are just the heart and soul of a program. They're the ones that stick around through thick and thin. Right. They're not looking for the eggs at the very first.
Those are the ones the community respects.
Correct.
At the end of the day, for me, in broad spectrum and looking at it, it's the community at the end of the deal. When you're going to the stadium, the arena, and the fans are there, that's what makes the sport so great. And if the community respects that, for me, in business and everything, because, raising ticket prices and doing all that, at the end of the day, is the community getting the value for what they're doing?
That's a valid question, I think, for everybody involved to answer. And everybody's answer is going to be different as well,
yes.
how they perceive it. It's crazy deal. All right. We will stick on the vein of Utah sports. Coming up next, we'll talk a little bit about Utah football. Spring camp rolls on week 3 for the Utes. Kyle Whittingham, as well as a few players, spoke to the media yesterday. We'll get you some of the highlights of that. Coming up next, we roll on right here on JJ and Alex, right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Accessing.
When TV and radio collide.
Love it.
Wow. This is what you get. You're listening to JJ and Alex, presented by G2G Bars.
Don't touch that dial.
On 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Welcome back to JJ and Alex here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Jake Hatch, Stevenson, Sylvester filling in.
Such a legendary beat.
Well, come on. You're wearing your sunglasses in the studio. That's why it's playing, man.
I wear my
it is a legendary
at night so I can.
This song is older than anybody doing this show today. I was born in the late 1980s. When were you?
Late 80s.
Okay, so it's older than us. I think this is from like 19. I want to say it's like 83 or 84 when that song came out.
Classics.
It is an absolute classic.
Never die. Let's go.
It is an absolute classic. But Sly, obviously, sporting the shades. If you're watching us on YouTube, you can check that out. I would encourage you, by the way, if you want to have a fun way to interact with the show, go to youtube.com/KSL5Sports. Catch a live stream of us, or go to the KSL Plus app and just search out the KSL Sports Zone, and you can, interact with us and watch us do our thing live via video. And yes, we are not going to be wearing makeup, even though DJ and PK thought we were. All right. Sly, should we hear from Kyle Whittingham up at Utah football practice and get the latest?
I mean, if you guys want to know what's going on, yeah, let's listen to it.
All right. So the head coach of the Utah football program spoke to the media yesterday. There's one key part I want people to pay attention to, because I had a chance to listen to this earlier today. Pay attention to when he talks about wide receivers and what he expects from the wide receiver core in this new look offense. Here you go.
Yeah, we're progressing. It's I would say we're on schedule. We're now in the middle third of spring ball. Practices the next 5, 6 through 10, and so far we've made a lot of progress. Some guys are stepping up. Really impressed with Bird Ficklin, the quarterback, the freshman, true freshman. He's doing some good things. Running backs are showing a lot of promise. Still got to sort things out at wide receiver. That's a position right now that is still we're trying to determine who the real go-to guys are going to be, and it's going to be a process. It'll probably take all the way through spring and maybe into some fall camp, but we've got to get that decided. Offensive line has advertised, got a good group up front. Defense running around, making plays. So a lot of good things in the first 6 practices.
For that wide receiver room, is there anybody that you feel confident in, or is it more just kind of a pecking order type situation?
No, we feel confident in a bunch of them. It's just who's going to step up consistently and make plays. And so it's not like we're searching for a guy that can catch the ball or make a play. It's who's going to step up and be the go-to guy, because that has to happen.
What sort of progress have you seen from tight end Landon King?
Landon's done a nice job. He's put some weight on. He's about 10 pounds heavier than he was last year, so that's helped him. And he's kind of a hybrid. He's not really a true hand-in-the-dirt tight end, and he's not really a true H-back mover. He's a tweener. But I think we're using him in a lot of good ways and doing some different things with him. Dallin Bentley, speaking of tight ends, is really having a really good spring camp. For the first 6 days, he's been at his best. He's definitely playing his best football since he's got here. And so we feel like the tight end spot, although not as much 12 personnel and personnel groups with 2 tight ends that we've used in the past, they're going to still be a big factor.
You moved Hunter Andrews from linebacker to running back to linebacker, and now he's at tight end.
Yeah. Well, he's a hybrid. He's more a running back tight end / guy. He's not really a true tight end. But anyway, go ahead.
I was going to ask, just what have you seen from him through these first 2
Good things. Good things. He's a typical big back when he's in the backfield. Does a great job in blitz pickup. He's got excellent speed. He's a 4.4 kid, so he's got the ability to go the distance. He was a really good running back in high school, over 1,000 yards his senior year, and he's also doing a lot of things at the tight end spot. So he's one of those guys, kind of like Nate Johnson, that's playing several positions.
How's Ryan Davis looked, and how's his connection, with Devin coming from New Mexico?
Yeah, Ryan's done a nice job, and he obviously has a leg up knowing the offense, just like Devin does, and just like running back Rogers does. But he's a guy that shows up every day, works hard, and really is going to add to what we're doing.
Do you feel this offense suits your offensive line more strengths well?
I do. It's a run-heavy offense in a lot of ways, and our offensive line loves a run block, and I think that it's a really good fit for the personnel that we have up front.
You mentioned Bird. What was the biggest thing that stood out from him so far?
Well, just he's getting really good command of the offense. He's got a big-time arm. His arm is live, and he's accurate. And so he's put on some weight. He was a little thin when he got here, but he's put on like 15 pounds since he's got here. And he is really starting to feel comfortable in the offense and doing things that we saw him do on his high school tape.
You said that Wayshawn had the inside track on the running back. Who are the guys behind him that you're starting to see that could push him?
Well, Rogers is doing a good job. Daniel Bray, the freshman, is a guy that he's a little different type of back. He'll have a role for us. Hunter Andrews is doing a nice job there. Nate Johnson's also getting some reps at running back. And also when you have a quarterback like Devin Dampier, who rushed for over 1,100 yards last year, that's part of the running game and part of the run game production. So, he's going to. We expect him to be a big part of it here as well this year.
Have you started to see any separation in the cornerbacks room?
Corners. Well, Scooby Davis seems to have a really good hold on one of the outside spots. Smith Snowden's got the nickel spot locked down right now, and so the battle is really for that corner opposite Scooby. And right now, I'd say Blake Cotton is doing some good things, as is Donovan Saunders, and who else was showing up? But Tristan Thompson's doing a nice job. So.
What about behind Smith? Behind Smith?
Benny, Jackson Benny is doing a nice job there, and some other guys that were, the nickel's kind of a specialty spot, and so we're trying to get the outside solidified first. Then we'll determine who's going to really be the backup or the third nickel.
There you go, Kyle Whittingham, Utah football coach, and the Jugs machine is back. Everybody in the background there. Sly, that's one of my favorite things about Kyle when he's doing these interviews. It used to be the lawnmower. It's now the Jugs machine. In the background.
Football at its finest. What they don't have is the PCP pipe, pipe with the holes in it for everybody to get water. Yeah. We don't have that anymore. Sure. But I'll take the Jugs machine.
Now, he mentions there about wide receivers kind of early on in that session. Essentially, they're looking for a go-to guy, and I can understand that. But the question, and we talked about this on DJ and PK this morning, Sly, is that does Utah have they really ever had that go-to guy, and do they need that go-to guy?
Man, I don't know. You guys, if anybody's been listening to me over the years, what is my biggest intangible with going into a game, right? Or understanding a team? It's matchups, right? And everything Coach Whittingham said, more and more, is he's not really that position. He plays multiple.
Correct. Yeah.
Versatile guys. And I don't know if you guys have seen. If you guys can, YouTube it. Hunter Andrews' high school tape. Oh, man.
Dude's a baller.
Dude's a boss, for sure. And him getting some defensive experience, tough as nails. Mm-hmm. He's a Brant Keithy type of tweener type guy. In this style of offense, I know Jason Beck is just going to utilize that because that was Devin Dampier. Both offense or both passing and rushing. Mm-hmm. And if you can get guys, and you know what? We didn't even hear much about Zacharias Williams. Like a talent who broke out in that UCF game at the end of the year. This team more and more, Landon King, a tweener, right? And his stature, he's 6'6" and can catch everything, got 10 more pounds on him so he can block more, but even catch those balls over the middle. I got more excited from listening to those 4 minutes of Coach Witt than I have the entire offseason about new guys coming in and everything, because I'm just seeing the potential. And the biggest question Bartle did a great job of asking is, what is this offensive line like?
Yeah.
And I think our offensive line, they do like running. Every hog
likes
running.
That's an offensive lineman's dream, to be in a run-heavy offense where you can dominate.
But they're extremely athletic.
They are.
I mean, you've seen Spencer Fano catch passes, for crying out loud.
And that doesn't even preclude Caleb Lomu.
Right. And so that means that this offense is going to be on the move. That goes from hurry-up offense. That goes from screens to downfield things. You're going to see those guys downfield blocking from the double reverses and everything from the different alignment sets. And that's what the versatility gets you. And this is, for me, a defensive guy. What's hard is I got a game plan for every alignment formation in football's playbook, right?
Yeah.
Normally you get some offenses, they do 11 personnel, they do this, they like kings, they like trips left, twins left. But if they do pistol, whole house backfield, they do trips, they do everything, that is hard for a defense to do, especially with the versatility. So that got me excited from listening to those 4 minutes of Coach Witt.
Now, the other thing you mentioned about the offensive line, the offensive line is maybe the most proven part of this offense, just with the bodies that are coming back there. You mentioned they have Spencer Fano, who is going to be a first-round draft pick. There's just
he's All-American last year.
Yeah, kid's a sensational player. Caleb Lomu, Jaron Kump. I just look at the guys on the offensive line. They should be they use that term tip of the spear, veteran unit that's going to kind of lead this offense. Devin Dampier is going to run a lot. It's just a QB run-heavy system that Coach Beck deploys for the Utes. That offensive line's got to be ready for everything. But to your point, Sly, it comes from everywhere. And that, as an offensive lineman, you got to be thinking, all right, this is going to be fun.
Yeah, I mean, I like that, too, for the offensive line standpoint, that you don't got a new offensive line coach.
Oh, yeah.
So that communication,
Coach Harding's still doing his thing,
that chemistry, that understanding of how I learn, how this kid learns, how I take coaching, that's already established. And so, like, when you go into these games and you have to make adjustments, that veteran leadership, that chemistry has already been built from years. That's everything. So that got me very, very excited about this offense.
Yeah, it looks like it should be a fun, I guess, rest of spring camp, because there's still essentially back half of camp to go. But also going into training camp, when things get real specialized, Sly, when you start to go into game planning, and you mentioned matchups, I look at Hunter Andrews, and I remember watching his tape. I'm like, dude, this kid is just everywhere.
He's a dog. Well, the problem is like I was studying his tape, and I'm looking at him from the defensive standpoint. Yeah. And all I see is these offensive highlights.
He's a running back from Magnolia High School in Magnolia, Texas.
I'm just like, this dude is taking off on offense. I'm just like, I'm supposed to be watching linebacker tape. Like, what is this going on? And he's, as Coach Witt said, 4'4" guy. This is a big dude, gets in the open field. He is gone.
6'3", 235, and can absolutely tote the rock. I think, 2,300 yards and 29 touchdowns.
I'm telling you, go watch his high school tape. But it's definitely something great.
I love what you said about finding matchups. You're trying to create advantages for your team, both offensively and defensively, Sly.
And if you don't have one guy, it could be anybody's week.
Correct. And that's where the versatility of what this offense could be for Utah is going to be a weapon for them, because let's be honest, people can go and watch what Jason Beck did at New Mexico and can get ideas of what the scheme looks like, but he has better athletes top to bottom at Utah than he ever had in Albuquerque. And that alone makes this offense that much more dangerous and that much more, I guess, enigmatic for teams to prepare for, at least in the early part of the season.
Well, I mean, it's great and something that offensive coordinators need to be salivating, because it's all you ask for.
Yeah.
That's all. I got numbers. I got guys. I got talent. I got depth, right? But and at the same time, we've seen it to where it was like, we got too much. We're trying to squeeze so many square pegs in round holes over here. And so, like, make it work. And that's what makes you a good offensive coordinator, whatever you got going on. And so hopefully Jason Beck is understanding this and making sure that everybody's a team guy. And it could be anybody's week.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see where it goes, but I'm with you. If it feels like, at least based on what Kyle Whittingham's talking about, things are trending up for the Utes, and that should be exciting if you're a Utah fan out there. Just thinking about the bounce back potential of this team, it looks like it's on its way.
Well, I also loved that. One thing I do know about this coaching staff is they do a great job of assessing talent.
Correct.
Right,
yeah.
and so moving Hunter Andrews from the defensive side to the offensive side, they're just understanding, like, look, you can do this and you would fit better on this team and be more of a factor at this position, just like Sione Vaki, right?
Yeah.
Outstanding defensive guy, but when he's electric on offense. But that's what this coaching staff has been doing for the last 35 years, man. They get it done, man. So it's absolutely awesome, and it really got me excited for the season now.
All right, coming up next, we round out hour one of the program. Now, coming up, we're going to get to what would you rather, and I kind of want to have some fun with DJ and PK on this, just to rub it in just a little bit more, but we'll get to that on the other side. And also coming up later, 4 o'clock, right, Alex, on this, Mike Folta, Utah Hockey Club radio voice for SEG Media. He will join us at the top of the hour. So more to come right here on JJ and Alex on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Listen, everybody! Real-life hypotheticals to get your brain churning. as JJ and Alex ask, would you rather?
Welcome back to JJ and Alex. This segment, Would You Rather, brought to you by our friends over at Paris RV. Spring fever is spreading right now. Paris RV has the best selection and lowest prices of the year. Check them out now at parisrv.com. Jay Catch, Stevenson, Sylvester along for the ride on this afternoon. All right, Sly, great question here because we are going to get an unprecedented Christmas Day slate of NFL games. They're going with a triple header this year on a Thursday. Now, 2 of the games, they've already signed a deal last year. It was a 3-year deal with Netflix to have 2 games on Netflix on Christmas Day with the calendar. But also, because it's a Thursday night, that means Amazon also gets their slated games. So it's unprecedented. 3 games on Christmas Day. So the question for you, because you did play in the NFL here, Sly, would you rather play on Christmas or Thanksgiving?
Thanksgiving.
Okay.
Thanksgiving. Yeah, I don't know. Thanksgiving. I've played on both. I've played on Thanksgiving Day and I've played on Christmas. And so, yeah, I got to say Thanksgiving because Thanksgiving is more legendary for me. Well, Christmas is more basketball.
Oh, and that's the thing.
And I love it because
the NBA is the NBA is over there like, hey,
what are you doing?
That's our holiday.
What are you doing? Yeah, no. And this past year's Christmas Day games were awesome. Chiefs, Steelers, Ravens. I think the Ravens played the Bills, something like that. They were great, and so I was like, okay, this could be a good trend. Football's taking over. Yeah. Taking over everything. Football's trying to be 365. But, Thanksgiving for me because I can always get my food afterwards. I can always have another Thanksgiving on Friday or Saturday after. But, just what it means to the sport and community and the eyes that you get, I think you get more eyes on Thanksgiving than you get on Christmas.
I agree with you, but the ratings say that they're big regardless. But if you had to make me pick, I'm picking Thanksgiving.
Yeah, for sure. I got to get some of that. Is it turducken? The
turducken?
That
John
Madsen,
Madden.
John Madden always preached about it. A 6-leg turkey.
Yep.
I always wanted those. But yeah.
I'm with you. I'd go with Thanksgiving. I want to stick on the NFL theme here.
Yeah.
The question that Alex asked me before we started today's show. Sly, would you rather play an 18-game NFL schedule or stick with the 17-game schedule, but that one of those 17 games is played somewhere in the world? It's a neutral site international game.
18 games. Those international games suck, man.
Okay.
It depends on your organization too, right?
Okay.
Because there's some organizations that take the right precautions in making sure that the jet lag is not a thing, and also too, Goodell talking about all these international games. They're not considering that because of the back-to-back. I've seen guys have a game on Thursday or a game on Sunday and then have a game on Thursday.
Correct.
And so, it's so hard to prepare for. The jet lag is real. Steelers in 2013, we went to London.
Yeah.
And it sucked. We played the Vikings. It sucked. We played terrible, but we got there 2 days before, so Friday, and we asleep half the meetings, and it was just terrible. And we played terrible, and next the season just went to heck. But so definitely, I'd rather play 18 games because that international stuff, as great as it may seem from the marketing standpoint, the playing standpoint sucks.
Okay, here's how it's going to go, though, in my opinion. The NFLPA, I don't think
care about the players. What are you talking about?
You're right, but here's the deal. The NFLPA will raise a big enough stink that the 18-game schedule won't come around right away. It will happen down the line. Let me reiterate. It will happen in time, Sly. I think the compromise will be, and this is something that David James has claimed for years, and I agree with him on this. They're going to stick with a 17-game schedule, but essentially they're going to send every team somewhere internationally for that 17th game. Whether you're going to in Australia, whether you're going to Canada, whether you're going to Europe, you're going somewhere in the world. And I think the way you combat that, Sly, is that you tell college football, like you've done to the NBA, hey, I know you have that first weekend of college football that's your guys. It's still the end of our preseason. Screw that. We're playing that week. We're sending most of the teams international, so they have essentially a 2-week window to get back acclimated.
I actually like that. Make a whole league bye week,
or change it where the bye week in the middle of the season, or some point that where everybody's on the same bye schedule for a double bye potentially to go international.
Yeah, I like that, and they already increased the schedule from 16 games to 17 games. So that 18 game thing. Roger Goodell's saying all the right things.
Yes.
We're still having under consideration. Got to take player safety. I'm like, bro, you don't care. But I mean, of course, I agree with you. I think the 18 games are coming because, this is going to be implemented to international and then the 18 games. So you're going to be doing both anyway.
Correct, yeah.
And so it's all about the money, and the NFL knows how to do it. Multi-billion-dollar industry. They get it done year after year and just increasing revenue. By increasing the fan base internationally is just huge, is awesome. And so I like that aspect of it. And as we said, business is business.
Yeah, they're going to be going to Australia here in 2 years. 2026 is when they're going to go to Australia. I'm waiting for the announcement of a game in China. I'm waiting for a game announcement in Japan.
Yeah.
They're literally going to go worldwide. They're going to go to the UAE, United Arab Emirates, Dubai. Get ready for it, folks. It's on its way.
Dubai is awesome, by the way. I love it.
Just an aside there.
Just gonna. Don't have game in the summer though. It's like 128 degrees out there, so that's terrible. But later in the season, Dubai is awesome.
You can send them in December and be just fine.
Perfect.
All right. We will come back on the other side. We'll flip over to hockey. Our weekly conversation coming up with Mike Folta, Utah Hockey Club Radio play-by-play voice for SEG Media. He will join us next right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Ladies and gentlemen, the biggest name.
You're locked into JJ and Alex with the insight and analysis on the teams you can't live without. Presented by G2G Bars. This is 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Welcome back to JJ and Alex. As always, the show brought to you by G2G Bars with all natural ingredients, no preservatives, and plenty of protein. G2G Bars are perfect for anyone who needs a tasty and nutritious boost. Jay Catch, Stevenson Sylvester. Man, I'm stumbling all over my words all of a sudden. Filling in for JJ and Alex today, but let's get right to it and talk some Utah Hockey Club in the cut.
It's time for the biggest story of the day. This is what made the cut with JJ and Alex on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Cut brought to you by the Doug Smith dealerships, Dodge, Ram, Chevrolet, Subaru, Kia in Linden, and now Mitsubishi in America Ford. Check them out, the Doug Smith dealerships. Please welcome in now Mike Folta, Utah Hockey Club Radio play-by-play voice for SEG Media. Mike, it's my first opportunity. I talked to you a lot, obviously setting you up for interviews on DJ and PK. My first opportunity to actually interview you, sir.
Yeah, this is quite the change of dynamic. It's great to have you on the show here, Jake, and looking forward to talking a little hockey with you and Sly here.
Now, a big win last night obviously keeps the hockey club alive in the playoff race. The nice part I thought about that game is it showed consistent effort, I thought, from the squad across all three periods. What was your overall takeaway?
Yeah, I think that was one of the takeaways that we had on our show as well last night was the 60-minute effort, kind of like what you were saying, where Utah was good in the first, they take the lead, they're good in the second, they extend their lead, and in the third, I thought the Flames had a good pushback, but Utah kind of locked things down when they needed to, and then when the Flames were trying to pull their goaltender to get the extra guy on the ice to make that last push in the last couple minutes, Utah was spending so much time in the Flames' end that Calgary couldn't pull Dustin Wolf until about a minute left in the game, which is later than usual. So I thought Utah played really well in the crucible moments last night. Utah got some depth scoring as well, which is always good to see. And it's been part of the story for this team, right, is putting a full three periods together. This team can play with anybody for 20 minutes, for 40 minutes, but doing it for 60 minutes, that's what makes the NHL so difficult. And we're starting to see it more and more here down the stretch from Utah. Yeah,
man, we were talking about it yesterday, and it's like what I've seen most of the season is we just can't finish the game. Like we start really well, but we just got to put it all together. And, that's with injuries and young guys and all of that. So you're definitely seeing that. And hopefully, you make a strong push at the end of the season that's going to propel you in the offseason. But a crazy stat that I was looking at last night that was awesome, and we were talking about it leading into the game, was that Kirill Vejmelka, is he showing any signs of slowing down? That's 18 straight games. But last night he had 33 saves, and he just did a tremendous job. Talk to me about Kirill and how he's doing.
Oh yeah, he was fantastic. Last night was one of his signature performances, and it was his 18th straight start last night. The last time that's happened in the National Hockey League was 2019, I believe it was. So typically, nowadays in the NHL, most NHL teams have kind of a two-quarterback system or a two-running-back backfield to relate it to football, where The load is split between two goaltenders more, but it's been all Vejmelka right now, with Utah not really having a reliable or consistent backup as an option to go to. And these are must-win games for Utah. Head coach Andre Tierney opened his press conference after morning skate yesterday by turning the tables on the reporters. And he said, if we're in the playoffs and it's game 6 of the semifinals and I don't start Karel Vejmelka, wouldn't you think I was a little crazy? Like, these are all game 6, game 7s for Utah here coming down the stretch with the Mountain Blue fighting for its playoff life. So it's funny. We get a lot of questions about load management with Vejmelka and stuff like that. Load management wasn't a thing until Kawhi Leonard.
Kawhi Leonard just running for all sports.
Him and Joel Embiid.
Exactly. It's just something like the NBA invented a few years ago, and a lot of sports have taken it on. And now there's science behind it, right? There's sports science behind getting the right amount of sleep and protecting your body from injury and things like that. But when it comes down to these crucial games, you have to kind of throw that out the window a little bit and roll out your best guy, and Vejmelka's the best guy. One more note, Corey Schwab is the goaltending coach for the Utah Hockey Club, and he was an NHL goalie back in the day, and he played with the New Jersey Devils when they won a Stanley Cup back in the early 2000s, and they had Marty Brodeur on those teams, very famous Canadian goaltender. Marty Brodeur was playing 70 out of 82 games with the Devils in those seasons. And so Corey Schwab, the guy who's the goaltending coach for Utah, has seen up close and personal a true number one goaltender get the nod in net, night in and night out. And I'm not comparing Vejmelka to Marty Brodeur. He's got a long way to go before he gets to that level, but that's kind of the similar situation with what we've been seeing recently.
Mike Folta joining us, Utah Hockey Club Radio play-by-play voice. His visit, as always, brought to you our friends over at Hercules First Federal Credit Union, growing stronger together. Now, Mike, what I have noticed from Coach Tierney is he is a pretty easygoing guy in terms of when he deals with the media and whatnot. One of the few times I've ever seen him kind of get a little fire in the belly was essentially when he mentioned that he kind of turned the tables around on the media and said, "What do you want me to do? You want me to force him to the bench here?" It's one of the few times I've seen him kind of show some fire there, and I actually respect it because, to your point, these are Game 6s and Game 7s. If they want to have any hopes of making the playoffs, they got to win every one of these, and Karel Vejmelka gives them that best opportunity to do just that.
Yeah, it's interesting. You definitely have the grizzly bear. We call him Coach Bear, right?
Yeah, Coach Bear,
Tierney. Yeah. We've got the grizzly bear and the teddy bear, and most of the time when he's talking with the media, he's the teddy bear. But you saw the grizzly a little bit when he flipped the tables. Now he did it in a very polite way. I thought it was done with class, but he was just trying to make a point. Mm-hmm. And you got to also remember this team didn't get the same media coverage in Arizona that Utah has been getting this year at Salt Lake City. I mean, there are several outlets that are covering us regularly that are at every morning skate. There are some outlets that are traveling with the team. Like Cole Bagley will travel for KSL with the team every once in a while, and he's at all the morning skates, at all the practices. Like, that wasn't happening with the Arizona Coyotes. And these guys know how to handle the media, but it is a little bit of – I do think it's been a little bit of maybe just a slight adjustment for those guys dealing with media in the room this year every day compared to where last year in Arizona there just wasn't – that same media attention.
Yeah. That's a culture shock is what I call it, right? It's very different. I'm so used to, and I've talked to guys who come from, in football, I talked to guys who come from D3 universities, and now they're here at a D1, like University of Utah, and they're just like, man, talk about an operation, and it's just very different. And so it's almost movie-like. I only see this stuff in the movies, and now I'm experiencing it. Man, so it's just awesome. So yesterday, before the match, there was what? 0.6 of a chance?
Yes, 0.6%, yes.
Did that increase any last night?
I think we might be at 1 now. I think we might be at 1%.
There's not a point
now.
before the number. I like that.
So you're saying there's a chance.
Exactly. Now, the interesting thing is that Utah had been chasing St. Louis, but the Blues have been on just an unbelievable heater. They were losing last night. They scored with like 20 seconds left to tie the game against Detroit, and then they won it in overtime. Like, these guys are on a biblical type run here. The stuff you read about in the Old Testament. And they've won 10 in a row. They have a bunch of comebacks in there. And it's the second longest win streak in the NHL this season. But now, because they've been so hot, they've actually jumped up from the second wild card spot to the first wild card spot. So Utah is actually trying to chase Minnesota now, who is 8 points ahead of Utah. And I mean, look, for Utah to make the postseason, they've got, 7 games? 7 games left, and so does Minnesota. They're 8 points out. They would almost have to win out, and Minnesota would almost have to lose out to make it. But then you got to factor in, you got Calgary and Vancouver that are in between Minnesota and Utah as well. So, look, we've asked the guys about their mindset, considering the standings and all that stuff, and they're just putting their heads down and putting their blinders on and trying to play the best hockey of the year at the end of the year. Because that's what these contenders are trying to do. You have to find a way to play your best hockey towards the end of the year. And, if you want to be in the playoffs, that's what Utah needs to do moving forward. And so this season's really no different, at least in the approach.
Yeah, just control what you can control, right?
Yeah.
Well, and Sly and I had a conversation yesterday, Mike, where we were talking about other teams in the circumstance that Utah finds themselves in might have decided, you know what, we're going to let go of the rope. We're going to call up guys from the AHL. We're going to get a look at some of these younger prospects. But this is a team, as we discussed, is coming out of a rebuild, and they want to be a playoff contender for years to come. And I think that's why they are staying all in on this because, yes, the hope is still alive there. But more importantly, it's showing these guys how much effort, how much fight it's going to take for them if they truly want to be what we hope they are in time as a franchise, what they need to do on the ice.
I mean, think of the guys who were in Arizona the last few years. I mean, there were some really dark seasons, and this time of year, they were not really competing for a playoff spot. Like, funny note here. So Andre Tourigny, he's in his fourth year as the head coach of this group. He was there for 3 years in Arizona, and this is his first year, obviously, in Utah. This is his first time coaching a team in April that has not been mathematically eliminated from the playoffs.
Oh, geez.
So, like, it's a total new feeling when, the middle of March, the trade deadline comes around and you're selling off pieces and you're acquiring draft picks and you're just trying to get the best draft pick you can in the first round compared to, no, we are in this to the death. We are fighting tooth and nail all 82 games. It's a longer season. It's a harder season when you do that, but this is part of the growth process that Utah and this core needs to undergo.
Yeah, so we talked about, Utah essentially having to win out. Control what you control. If you can win, get your 2 points. And 1 point's not going to do it. You got to get your 2 points each of these last, 7 games. But you play teams like the Kings, tomorrow night, and you play Winnipeg Jets. But, for me being new to hockey, does hockey do things where, Winnipeg Jets, best team in the league, do they kind of let me rest some of my main guys before playoff starts, and so they could not have a lot of guys playing on Saturday, and it gives Utah Hockey Club an opportunity there to come out with a win against the better team in the league?
Yeah, it's definitely different than football or the NBA, where sometimes I was a Colts fan growing up. And I remember, we had perfect seasons going, and then
the Chiefs this year against the Broncos, right?
What's that? Oh, Chiefs Broncos?
Yeah, this year, yeah. The last
game of the year. Well, I mean, you want, as a fan, you want to see a perfect season, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they would sit Peyton Manning, and they would take the clipboard out of Jim Sorgi's hand and throw him out there for the last 2 games of the year, and we'd go 14-2, and then Phillip Rivers would beat us in the first round of the playoffs or something. So,
Weddle teams. I know exactly what you're talking about. Those are Eric Weddle's rookie year.
Yeah, Darren Sproles would run a punt back or something like that, and it would be a weird like weather game or something. But I've seen that heartbreak before. Hockey's not as blatant about resting the star players. If there's a guy who's dealing with something significant, and this time of year, and this is cliche, but this time of year, every single one of those guys in that Utah dressing room is dealing with some kind of ailment. Dylan Guenther took a puck to the nose, looked like he almost broke his nose last night. We had Logan Cooley. He was getting dentistry work done on the bench, and then Jack McBain took a stick to the face as well. So, all these guys are dealing with something this time of year, but if somebody is dealing with something significant, then what you'll see NHL teams, hold them out of the lineup just not to risk it. Like, they'll be much more conservative in their injury approach, but for the most part, it's kind of an honor thing in hockey. If you can play, you're playing, and that's one of the reasons I love the sport so much, and it's kind of one of the unique characteristics of our game. Is there?
You say that, right? And I see the one. I'm a GIF guy, so I send GIFs. That's how I speak. I don't even text anymore. That's just what I do. And one of my favorites is a hockey guy. He has no teeth, and he's screaming because he just got a goal. And like I said, my friend, he lost a tooth, so I send it to him all the time. But is there the mama mentality in hockey? Is there a pride Gretzky factor? Is there a Gretzky mentality? Because I was watching Gretzky stats earlier because we're seeing Ovechkin chase him, and I'm just like, Gretzky played all the time. Mm-hmm. And so is there the Mamba mentality in hockey? Or for somebody like that?
I don't know if it's Mamba mentality or anything like that. I think it's just the closest thing to like chivalry or knighthood that we have in like our modern world. Like if there's an honor code, and that's where we get fighting too, right?
Yes.
Like if somebody steps out of line, then you fight or you defend your teammate and things like that. The word honor gets tossed around a lot, but it's a big deal in hockey. And guys, like you said, they have a lot of pride in what they do, but also it's a privilege to play in the NHL. And so there's an expectation that if you're able to go and help your team, then you can go. One thing that's kind of funny too, and this comes from hockey at like the base level, like the grassroots level, a lot of kids growing up, and I've heard this from multiple parents, multiple kids, you're taught that if you get hurt while you're playing hockey, you better get off the ice. You're not laying
really
down, something better be broken. And like that, those words rattle around in my head every time I see a guy, get knocked over on a basketball court and just lays there for a couple seconds. And
or watching soccer.
Well, yeah, and then like the guy on the basketball court will get helped up and he'll shoot the free throws. Like, so he's fine.
Yeah.
But hockey, there's kind of an understanding. Like, if you're laying down on the ice, something better be really, really wrong.
Better throw some spit on it, guy.
So, Mike, pulling back the curtain a little bit. My wife played collegiate softball, and she is the real athlete in the family. I use this line all the time. She's the real athlete. I just happen to talk about him for a living because it's exactly what it is. But she has told my kids, and my kids are still relatively young. I've got an 8, a 6, and a 1-year-old. And she's told my older 2 who are getting into sports that if I have to come on to whatever playing surface it is, you better have bones sticking out or something like that.
Have a compound fracture,
like,
kid.
She's tougher than I'm like the softie compared to her. So to your point, Mike, it's a culture thing in hockey.
That's funny. That's what my mom said about if I have to come to the school, you better be dying.
Sure.
You better be dying. And she's talking all nice to the nurse, and then when I get a phone, what's wrong with you?
Yeah.
You better tighten up.
Yeah, well, but I think there's a culture in hockey
for sure.
that I have fallen in love with, and that is that if you are able to play, you will be out there playing. And yes, if you are getting dentistry work on the bench, you know what? Get the work done. Give me a
badge of honor.
Yeah, it's like a pride thing. It's like, hey, I've got this scar and I might lose a tooth or two. We'll fix that later, but let me get back on the ice.
Yeah. Well, have you guys like felt a puck, like picked up a puck?
Oh, yeah.
Before?
I played a little bit of like street hockey as a kid, and we had a guy one time bring a legitimate NHL puck, and I got hit by it in the back, and that was enough for me.
This is not my sport. Well, see you later, guys.
Getting hit by.
I would have played football instead.
A baseball. Like I was a baseball guy. Like getting hit by a pitch hurts.
Sure.
Getting hit by a hockey puck, that can do like structural damage to you. I mean, and again, like I said, Gunther last night, he takes a puck off the stick. It comes up right under the visor, clocks him in the nose. He is laying down on the ice because his nose is leaking and he thinks he broke it. He goes back to the room and he comes back after some stitch work, like, I don't know, eight game minutes later. We saw Clayton Keller take a puck to the eye and got like 12 stitches or something, came back later in the period. I mean, yeah, it's a badge of honor a little bit, but more so it's just the expectation in hockey.
Mike, how is Utah receiving that? Because, Utah's kind of like, I know the Utah mom's like, don't touch my baby. They're like, I don't want to see violence. How is Utah receiving that?
My wife's Utah
culture?
mom, and you heard how she operates.
Yeah.
So
I mean, it's not everybody, but, how is Utah receiving this new hockey culture and this mindset?
Well, hopefully it's one that people can identify with, especially here in Utah, because it's a state that works, and it's a state that values hard work. When you think of some of the sports heroes in the state, like a John Stockton, holy smokes, like how much does that guy embody hard work, right? And that's kind of what hockey is. Hockey really values hard work and dedication and that gritty mindset. You think of some of the best players in the world, and they're burrowing into the net and knocking guys out of the way and winning puck battles and doing these little detailed things. It's not all dangles and snipes under the bar and things like that. So I hope that sentiment, that side of the hockey identity is easy to connect with people. Hopefully people don't see the sport and just see violence like that. That's like the furthest thing from what hockey is really all about. But that honor, like we're talking about, that's a huge part of it. And it's been fun to watch people connect with this team. And we're starting to see more and more, and this is just like the eye test from standing in the crowd, like see more and more people who have real personal connections with the players. Maybe they get a stick or a puck or something like that after warm-ups. And we've got a guy who wears like a broccoli hat. I don't know if you guys have seen this.
I've seen it.
He wears a broccoli headgear type contraption for our goalie Veggie. But it's been fun to watch people lean in, and I think people are just going to fall more and more in love with this team the next couple of years.
Yeah, this is a town, as you mentioned, Mike. They love Iron Men, to use that term, and Karl Malone and John Stockton embodied that in obviously the heyday of the Utah Jazz in the 90s. I think a lot of sports fans here locally will identify that with this team as well, given adequate time as well. But we've kept you way too long, Mike. You're the man. Appreciate taking the time, and we'll obviously be continuing to listen to you as the season comes down the home stretch, all right?
Jake Sly, appreciate it, guys. We'll talk soon.
All right, there you go. Mike Folta, radio play-by-play voice for the Utah Hockey Club, joining us here on the KSL Sports Zone. And I love Mike. You know he's a Purdue Boilermaker?
Oh, is he?
Yeah, he is. He's a Big Ten guy, Sly.
Oh, okay.
You have to talk about that with him sometime.
Yeah, those guys drink out there. I know that. No, I got introduced to some
He's an Indiana boy, but Purdue. That's his squad. He got offended when PK brought up Hoosiers one time. He said, "Great movie, wrong name."
Don't you say those words over here.
It's awesome. I love Mike. He is absolutely awesome. But thanks to him for taking the time. All right, we'll come back on the side. We're going to talk a little NFL. It's the NFL Blitz coming up right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
All the latest news and notes from the league and the locals in the NFL. JJ and Alex bring you the NFL Blitz on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Make sure you nominate the youth sports volunteer that you know for the Hercules Hero of the Week. Submit your nomination at kslsports.com/contest and listen every Thursday afternoon. That's tomorrow, right here on JJ and Alex for the winner. Help us celebrate the efforts of those volunteers making an impact with the Hercules Hero of the Week, sponsored by Hercules First Federal Credit Union and Beehive Mills. JJ and Alex, Jake Hatch, Stevenson Sylvester, you better know him as Sly, filling in once again today. All right, Sly, I want to start off here in the NFL Blitz with a guy that I think you probably crossed paths with because he's been playing in the NFL for a long time, and that's Calais Campbell. He is now going into his 18th season and going back to the Arizona Cardinals.
Yeah, well, Calais is he's a beast. He's a huge human being.
He is.
right?
Yeah.
Like, I don't think people understand. You see guys on TV, but, like, you see mammoths of, like Bryant McKinney.
Yeah.
One of the biggest human beings I ever seen. The first time I was there, like, we're playing the Ravens. They just scored a touchdown, so I'm going in on, PAT work. And I'm on his side, and, like, this dude comes out of the huddle. I'm just like, what made this? Just 450 pounds. Don't let the stats tell you what weight. That man looked 450, and he's like 6'10", just huge human beings. Calais Campbell's another one of those guys.
They list him at 6'8", 282.
Yeah, and like just mammoths of human beings to where like you see him, you shut up.
To play defensive tackle at 6'8", you got to be very
18 seasons.
Yeah, to be very good with your leverage because you're already at a disadvantage with that height.
Right. And just a strong human being, but knows his angles, knows himself. Yep. Always, every team he's been on, even his latter years, always been a strong asset to a team.
Last year, 35 solo tackles, 5 sacks as a 38-year-old. He's one of the few players still in the league, Sly, that is older than I am. And I'm getting up there where I'm getting to the point where I'm going to be older than everybody else in the NFL. It's going to be like, back in my day. He's one of the few guys still hanging around that's older than I am.
Yeah.
And credit to him, by the way. Another $5 million contract. He goes back to Arizona where he had some of his best seasons of his career playing for the Cardinals. Cool to see a guy sticking around as long as he has.
Well, yeah, I mean, teams like the Cardinals and Browns, this is a staple from guys that play. Is like, you go to those teams at the end of your career. You just know, like, I'm just going for a bag. Let me do that. I remember hearing.
Well, he was drafted by the Cardinals in 2008.
Right. But like Bart Scott,
I
was hearing before he got signed to the Jets. He was on a trip or a recruiting trip, whatever, to the Browns, and he goes into the bathroom and calls his agent and he's like, "Get me that out here right now." And like, so that's just a staple. It's like, when you're signing to the Browns, it's like, oh, okay, I'm looking at the end of my career type thing.
Yeah, it says that he's not expected to start, but we'll have certain packages designed to get him on the field. He's a situational player at this point.
$5 million and I get 20 plays a game? Come on.
He's a pass rush guy up the middle, and that's what you're signing him for. Because his ability to get his arm up in passing lanes, if he doesn't get to the quarterback, also an underrated side of it. So congratulations to Calais Campbell. All right. On to the 49ers here. Now, Jed York, the owner of the 49ers, this is the most obvious thing of obvious things. I don't even know why he had to say this, but he said the offseason exodus of players from the 49ers roster are due because they have to pay Brock Purdy. Your reaction, Sly?
I mean, duh. But like, I mean, we saw all this coming. Like, this was something over the last couple of years. I'm like, you're paying Trent Williams, you're paying Deal Samuels. Now you played Brandon Ayuk,
Nick Bosa.
Nick Bosa. You're gonna have to pay the quarterback when that time comes. Or what are you gonna do? So it was kind of like San Francisco was kind of like, we're just banking on these last 2 years. Like, we got to make a Super Bowl run in those last 2 years, and then we'll have whatever happens after that. And they didn't make it happen. Well, they went to Super Bowl, but lost to the Chiefs 2 years ago. But, like, I think that was the mentality, and that's what I took from it. But, it makes sense. And now what's good, when you have a good quarterback, that you just supply them with young talent, and they can make other guys better. The thing is, with Brock Purdy, I think that he's a Shanahan guy. So if Shanahan's not there, you're not going to see the same Brock Purdy.
I am a Niners guy. Like, that's my team.
Yeah.
And I got to agree with you.
Yeah. So
he fits in the Shanahan offense. He's very good in that offense. I am 100% convinced you put him in a different offense in the NFL,
it's not gonna be
it ain't working out.
Right.
Yeah, but here's the thing. The Niners are entering the period of how many guys, the big name players they have to pay, you have to hit in the draft now. You have to bring in that young talent on rookie deals, especially middle to late round picks you got to hit on. They have to step up.
Yeah, and here's the thing with the business is those middle round players, you're banking on them being great early and only for 3 years.
Yeah.
I was like, I got a 3-year plan for this guy,
Right.
and he's got to be effective in those 3 years because after that, we're just going to keep reinvesting to our quarterback, D-end, or a first-round draft pick.
Yeah, like Fred Warner, he's making a lot of money, but guess what? They have to have other linebackers step up alongside him. You got to have Nick Bosa lead the defensive line. They jettisoned both of their defensive tackles from last year. They're in trying to retool mode, but it's got to have that young talent. They got to hit in the draft now because if they don't, they're going to be a middling team with some bloated contracts that are not going to work out the way they think they are.
Yeah, I mean, at least you're not the Raiders.
Well, the Raiders are one thing in and of themselves. All right, Sly, did you ever play in Chicago?
No.
Soldier Field?
No, I didn't. I mean, I played Chicago when they came to Pittsburgh,
Okay.
but those were like one of 3 stadiums I've never got to play in.
I have toured Soldier Field. It's a pretty cool venue. It's legendary. They've revamped the inside of it. Obviously, it looks old on the outside, but you get inside, it's actually pretty modern. But they have been trying to build a new stadium. They had that big thing from the Chicago mayor saying that they were going to build this new domed stadium over that site there at Soldier Field. But they bought a racetrack up in Arlington Heights, which is northwest of the city. Huge, like 280-acre parcel where they were considering moving to. Well, guess what? They are expanding their options once again after saying they're going to stick around in Chicago, saying, hey, Arlington Heights, we may still be going your way.
I mean, honestly, this is news to me because I thought that deal was already
I thought so
solidified.
Too. It's 326 acres. That's what they bought up there. It was their old racetrack.
Yeah. So, I mean, I was already expecting them to be moving into it here in the next year or two. And, like, you're hearing plans of the Cleveland Browns' new stadium, the Buffalo Bills' new stadium, all this other stuff. And that was the Chicago deal was before all that. So I thought that was already in the works. So, yeah, this is all new. And you know, it's never done until it's done, I guess.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. They do need to find a home at the same time. Caleb Williams, biggest thing they can do is find some talent to surround him with and let him succeed because winning
hopefully he doesn't get in his own way.
That's also a possibility.
The Bears.
All right. A couple other things real quick. Raheem Morris, Atlanta Falcons coach. If the trade for Kirk Cousins is good for both of us, I'd like to see it happen. They are saying everything without saying, please take him.
5th round draft pick is what it's going to be. The problem is you just guaranteed $60 million.
You're going to have to make another team worth their while.
I mean, nobody's as bad as the Browns with Deshaun Watson, so it's whatever. Maybe the Raiders are, but I think for me, I'm looking at it the Steelers, and Steelers are like one of those guys that are the art of the deal.
Yeah.
They take advantage of getting great situations. I know this Aaron Rodgers back and forth deal with the Steelers is whatever, but I think that would be good. The problem is it's just what are you going to give up to do that? You just got DK Metcalf. What value are you going to give up? So honestly, if it's one of those where they're giving up, because Falcons don't need it. You got your quarterback. Take a 5th round draft pick, take a 2nd round draft pick for Kirk Cousins, and I think that the Steelers would benefit from Kirk Cousins. I like him over Aaron Rodgers.
Well,
right
and
now.
that brings us to Aaron Rodgers and the Steelers. Art Rooney II. Obviously, you are well aware of the Rooney family because you played for that franchise.
One hell of a guy, by the way. Art is the nicest freaking guy.
He comes off as that now, but he's told reporters at these NFL meetings that it's looking that we had a really productive meeting. He said he's been in this thing a long time. There's no substitute for intimacy and spending time together, getting to know one another in a non-competitive environment. So that was really good. I don't have any new updates in terms of where the process is but he said, it's on its way. Speaking of Aaron Rodgers to the Steelers.
Man, I'm not even playing. And
quote, headed in our direction. There you go.
So sick of the Aaron Rodgers sagas every offseason. Just make a decision, guy.
Well, here's the thing. You talk about the art of the deal. The Steelers.
There's not many options. Just go.
Yeah, but the Steelers are trying to kind of do what you're talking about, the art of the deal.
Yeah.
But Aaron Rodgers is also the king of keeping things on.
I'm bro, you're getting paid.
Yeah.
You still getting paid from the Jets. You're still probably getting paid from the Packers if you know it's right. But just take your little Russell Wilson check. The Steelers will pay you $8 to $10 million a year. But don't expect to get 40 from the guys. Don't be greedy. You're at the end of your career. Mm-hmm. You got a great defense you're going into. You got DK Metcalf, George Pickens, Pat Freiermuth. You could get a good running back. There's a lot of running backs in this draft that you could have a great situation with the Steelers. Stop making it hard.
Now, they were just on NFL Live on ESPN here in the studios, and they were talking about Jackson Dart, obviously former Roy and
you
Corner
saw me,
Canyon.
I got excited.
Here's the thing. They project him 21 to the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Sure. I've been talking about Jackson
If Aaron
Dart
Rodgers and Mason Rudolph, who appear to kind of be the 1-2 that it looks like, that is an ideal situation for Jackson Dart to go in.
I'm trying to tell you, I didn't know much about Kenny Pickett. Yeah, he had a good year at Pittsburgh, but I wasn't. But Jackson Dart, well, I guess I'm biased. I've been covering him since high school, since he was at Roy High School and transferred Corner Canyon. But he is a dog.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, the Steelers organization, the Pittsburgh, the city will love a guy like Jackson Dart. One, he has a great name, right? You just need one of those names, one of those names that's easy to say, but also one that you want to say often. I'll say Dart all the time.
You know his younger brother's name?
Remy Dart? I don't know.
Diesel.
Yes, I do know Diesel Dart. I do know Diesel Dart.
Yeah,
he's on the all names team for GNL for us.
Yeah. No, that's the fun part about this is I think it'd be a perfect spot for a guy like Jackson Dart to land in.
I love that.
It's a premier franchise who has got a track record of making quarterbacks look really, really good. You know this. You played alongside Ben Roethlisberger.
Well, I mean, Jackson is a playmaker, right? And that's what made Ben Roethlisberger what he was. Is like you could take something that's not there initially from the play that's called, but you can make things happen. That's Jackson Dart at its finest. Yep. He's been that since he was a high school kid that I remember. And so, like, going into Pittsburgh, not too great. Arthur Smith's our offensive coordinator. He's better than Matt Canada, because I will ream Matt Canada all day. But Arthur Smith's not that great. But, like, whatever that's going to happen, I think that with the great defense, great talent around him, he will make the Steelers top 4 in the AFC. And that's saying a lot with all the talent in the AFC.
It feels that way, but we'll see what happens. But I think it'll be a great spot for Jackson Dart to land, and we'll see how it all shakes out as the draft gets closer and closer. The draft is this month, everybody, so get ready for it. All right, we'll come back on the other side, talk a little Utah Jazz, getting you ready for the Jazz and the Houston Rockets. That's next, right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
You know what's coming.
Your daily deep dive into everything Utah Jazz.
It's time!
All season long and even in the offseason. It's Jazz Daily with JJ and Alex on your exclusive home of Utah Jazz basketball. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
I love this song. I will forever sing along with it. One of the greatest skits in Saturday Night Live history. All right, welcome back to JJ and Alex. All right, it is a Win Tickets Wednesday. Caller 12 right now at 801-575-ZONE will win 2 tickets to see Volbeat July 19th the Utah First Credit Union Amphitheater in their greatest of all tours worldwide with special guests Hailstorm and The Ghost Inside once again. Won 2 tickets right now by being caller 12 at 801-575-9663. All right, Sly, wrapping up today's show. The Utah Jazz take over at the top of the hour as they get ready to take on the Houston Rockets. We got updates on 3 players injury-wise today. The most surprising of the bunch, Cody Williams, obviously the first-round pick, the Utah Jazz, their highest first-round pick of last year's draft. His season has been ended as he tested positive for mononucleosis yesterday.
Well, it's hard to when guys get that because it's like we're so isolated.
Yeah, and you don't want to pass it along to anybody else. And
well, yeah, even at getting it. So it's tough, and you know, especially a rookie year, man.
And it's been a rough year for him. He's had his struggles.
Oh yeah, for sure. But you know, it's been not just him. This whole organization has had some struggles. So hopefully, you know, ending the season, he'll be one of the 10 guys on the out list tonight, and Jazz will go to. Well, they're playing the Rockets. Rockets are good, so it's going to be 7 in a row losses toniher
So they are going to reevaluate him in 3 weeks. That's what, obviously, the season will be over at that point before he goes into off-season conditioning. Now, the other updates came for John Collins and Lauri Markkanen. Collins was reevaluated for his left ankle sprain. He was out another week. Will be reevaluated then. And then Markkanen returned to Salt Lake City earlier this week for an MRI of his left knee, which revealed, and this is what I love about NBA stuff, is that they revealed what they call a patellofemoral chondrosis with associated subchondral edema with no other structural damage.
So he has a bruise.
I have no idea what the heck I just read, but
telling you.
He's being reevaluated in 7 to 10 days upon completing an off-court rehab program.
Yeah, man, they say these words, and then people look at them like, "Oh, okay, that's serious."
And
all in all, it's like, "Oh, he's got a real bad bruise."
Yeah,
and so it's crazy. Like looking at Colin Sexton's injury, where was that? The right ischial tuberosity.
It's a bone
I'm
bruise.
like, what is that? And so it's just nuts, and to know the Jazz are not having a great season, but having to endure all these injuries too is just it sucks.
Now, in terms of guys available tonight, Walker Kessler, he has now completed that return to competition reconditioning after 1 game. He is available. Colin Sexton with that bone bruise is also available, and Jaden Springer, who's been out with some injury management with a low back, he's also available. And then essentially everybody else you think is out is out.
This is what I want to get. I want to get these stat guys. I want to know, has the Jazz exhausted all of the excuses for the injuries?
They will keep inventing them.
Inventing more?
They got 7 games to go here, and you will hear many more.
I think all the guys on the team has had every injury.
I'm waiting for Hangnail to show up. DNP Hangnail. That's what I'm waiting for.
Oh my gosh!
Don't give them any reason to do it because they probably will. But all the same, the Jazz in action coming up in about 5 minutes from now. Pregame coverage here on the KSL Sports Zone. So. Yeah, updates are that Larry Markin and John Collins, they're out at least a week before they're reevaluated, and then Cody Williams is out for the season. So the roster is thinning out considerably, Sly. But as always, Sly, it's been a pleasure. It's been a fun 3 days co-hosting with you, so thanks for doing it.
Man, appreciate it. I know we had a couple truncated days, but
now, Sly gets to do the rest of the week. So you and Alex will hang out tomorrow and Friday, so stay tuned for that.
Oh, I'm gonna razz him because he's been out for so long.
As you should, absolutely. But I will be back on the morning show tomorrow morning with DJ and PK, and I cannot wait. PK is going to be on fire after what happened earlier today with the whole April Fool's Day prank that was.
I'm ready for my close-up, Mr. DeMille.
All right. That'll do it for us. As always, thank you for tuning in. This has been JJ and Alex right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.